31 July 2022. My voice is a bit different, and you can observe by the concerns that you have, and having this concern, of course, that you maybe must be concerned equally, especially by things we do not plan it, but unfortunately we had to survive some way. And this implies not only have a regular life, but ways to do regular things as a regular person. I think that no one come to life for disgrace, suffering, and unhappiness. And you have the right to pursue the happiness. It's a human right. So, life. It's a human right in the same way. When you are pursuing happiness, and this comes from the very first impulse as a will to protect your identity and keep yourself, you for sure had the deepest level as aggression impacting your personality. Will change your moral convictions little by little. And the conviction after got changed, maybe there will no turning back. And the conviction of many, environments corrupted with interaction by illegal advantage coming from corruption. We have a corruption in an international level. The corruption in an international level coming since from the aggression against the speech which do not get along with this until change your personality by the blocked ways of your life to achieve happiness. Of course that will call attention of everybody, and we will observe that the pursuit of happiness affected by decisions with so uh, with so strong impact in the life of a person or something. Maybe you must try to understand and research the source of these decisions, which will be in a very first moment the observation as the chair that's having this decision, which belongs to an institution. This institutional decision, from by the time will pass and will kind of be more structured as a decision to block the ways to achieve happiness or keep your identity. Then we will understand that many of those chairs indeed has any kind of preparation or procedure to be filled and to occupy this chair. You you know assume it that can do everything to be at the chair. Of course, that the personality of this owner belongs to someone else. This is a slavery machine, and having the domain by the exploited will, which indeed has an intent not at person, but based on dominance. The domain of a structure sets a table of negotiation, and these structures under domain, which the owner of all them or some of them or each one of them are doing a negotiation, we must concern and kind of at least have on mind that they are dealing the future of mankind. Little by little, since the aggression against the individual's identity and personality until the future of mankind. And this is a real fact going right now. The pandemic mobilization as organized crime with interaction, systemic interaction, integrated itself as a systemic crime or a system to commit crimes. And the chairs leading those systems, it means the leaders of those nations, if we consider the public area or the big corporations, are dealing the future of mankind by their own purpose, which in many of them are corrupted since the very beginning to occupy a chair. And now we have this segment, and the drill down, the depuration will allow to as having the regression. And this regressive model will point to the person that put these chairs filled. Indeed, you will have this by the chair as itself. And the regression by the chairs allow you, judicial power, USA, to understand the sub-mask as mobilization covering the chair. We could have this model in our last conversation, which goes like this. We have the Brazilian environment or any environment on Western society going as public and corporate, public 100% public and national, corporate can be national and foreigners. The use of public treasury, especially during the period as a lockdown and when the market are not opened, you had the interest as continued of gains, and the association goes like this. In the same way with global events like sports events, Olympics and FIFA. It means that a piece of public corruption having the domain of budget decisions got associated with a piece of the corporate corruption and international corporate corruption, then all forming the transnational organized crime. But how this go and how this can be proven? It's so easy, my friend. When you take a look on the law, 13,869 in Brazil, it's a law about abuse of power that only can be associated or related at variables that has power, it means decisions, to abuse as wrongdoing. And it's a wrongdoing. They should got promotions or new offices or departments. they must be fired. And when you do this, take a look at this law, my friend, at the American judicial system. Law 13,869, Article 1, paragraph number 1. Then you take a look on Article 22 up to 27. That will say, if you had the continuity of an abusive procedure or the abusive procedure opened against someone that you know that is innocent, or you have this against an innocent person or against anyone, and you are doing this not in good faith, you committed a crime. If we have, an open mind and consider that if you did this as a crime, abusive, violating guarantees, basic rights of a person, that can be a company, a state, or even a moral entity and an individual. You will understand that when you do this, to do not suffer the financial charge as compensation that allowed the criminal conviction by crimes perpetrated in Brazil, like this, which is international crimes, proved and confirmed by the Brazilian law about organized crime, 12,850, Article 1, 2, and 3, saying that this law in Brazil about transnational organized crime can be internationally applied, especially when the object is obtain advantage, like do not have the payment as 33 trillion plus 4 trillion as compensation and financial penalty, and avoid the 1 billion case plus 3 billions as financial punishment, and the new case as economic crimes, which implies the plagiarism made by you, criminal offender, the violation of immaterial and intellectual asset made by you, criminal offender. You will got that the international application of the Brazilian law will support the international decision against the transnational organized crime committed in Brazil against these international interests, especially when they are, for instance, consumer concerned with the health and food security at Food and Drug Administration, the biohazard, the communication properly protected as private, with carry the image of your personality by things you do, by things you research, impacted by violations you did, to avoid the consequence since the very beginning, when you had the warnings and the advice to quit this and be decent, but you was unable to be decent by the corruption which puts you occupying a chair under the domain of someone else, and you are the image of someone else that maybe belongs as heart and soul to anyone else, And by this regression, you have in this research segmented that this area by like Saquarema City, Rio de Janeiro, by the aggression suffered. You ask to the chairs that maybe are inside a nepotism scam will lead to the corruption as domain of circumstance to occupy chairs by nepotism and privilege, keeping the chain as abuse. And this chair as corruption, having the domain of nepotism and leading the chain as abuses, will maybe point to a deeper level that indeed is starting the corruption of anyone else. including the legitimacy to apply the law. And now, my friend in USA, you are understanding how this impacted your judicial power by the decreasement of capacity to understand that things against one specific consumer which goes in a diffuse areas sooner or later will impact you, even with all security that you have. Because as we told at the blog, Risk Report 2022 trace july.blogspot.com, which is closed, the silence indeed encouraged the continuity of aggressions. And the continuity of aggressions made by the pandemic mobilization of transnational organized crime will engulf areas that indeed still have decency to have the decision and decide this case. That's closed. You have values, you have facts proved by notoriety of facts, circumstance, all things, even the aggressions as a real-time monitoring procedure. And which will be your position, my friend? We will apply the Brazil, we will do the international application of the Brazilian law after all things we offered as evidence, because the idea can put criminals on jail, but can expose the criminals and the reasons to the crimes have the continuity. We did this. Indeed, our effort is closed. We are doing a self-defense. In other words, we are asking your help. Can you get the point? Because if you, as judicial power of the most powerful nation, can have the solution of things that indeed solve it, maybe you will cry for help, and there will be no one else to help you. See the drama, I would say. We'll finish our conversation here. And the pursuit of happiness, of course, that must be made and offered, but anyone that got in touch with happiness at least once. Have a nice Sunday.